What is going on, guys? Blazing Tech back with another car related video, shock of shock. And in today's video, in no particular order, I'm going to talk about the things that I think you guys should carry in your car at all times. And this list goes from simple things to very specific things. So maybe you guys have some things that you want to share. Be sure to leave those down in the comments down below. But in no particular order, let's go ahead and go through my list. Starting the list off at number 1, we are going to be talking about drive-through napkins or paper napkins. I carry these around in pretty much any car I drive. They're very multi-purpose. These things come in handy very often, and if you ever go through any drive-thrus, you can ask for extra napkins, and I only ever use about 1 or 2 napkins every time, so I usually always have a lot of these napkins lying around. Number 2 on the list, we are talking about a pen and paper. This comes in handy. I'm going to make a video about what I consider my mileage book, which is something that I think everybody should do. But having a pen and paper is very handy in case, per se, you have a breakdown somewhere and you have to leave your car overnight or, for about 2-3 hours, anything like that. That way people know, maybe an officer sees your car, gives you a ticket. If you have pen and paper, you can always write that down and say, I'm going to be back in a second. And it's always smart to have those tools with you. Number 3 on the list, we are talking about a small pack of Band-Aids. Now, this has come in handy for me. If you ever get cuts at the gym, if you're playing basketball, your fingers get all chewed up. If you get a cut in the car, if your passenger has a cut, Band-Aids really do help out, and they're nice to have on tap. If not, you can use some of those paper napkins from step 1, but having Band-Aids really does help. Number 4 on the list, we're going to be talking about facial tissues. Now, I have a little kind of plastic thing, or those $1 packs you can get at Dollar Tree. This has really saved my behind a couple times when I have to blow my nose, and those paper napkins are kind of rough. It's nice to have a tissue, or if you're going in somewhere and you have a little bit of a runny nose, you can carry some tissues with you, and you're not going to have to worry about looking for tissues. But having tissues in the car definitely helps. Number 5 on the list, we are talking about chewing gum. Now, chewing gum comes in handy. Perhaps you want to make a move on a girl or a guy, or however you do it. Having gum and having nice breath definitely does help. I would kind of second that with some cologne, but I don't have cologne in this car anymore. In my Tacoma, I used to carry cologne, but I don't have the space for that at the moment. Number 6, we're talking about some COVID-related supplies. We're going to talk about hand sanitizer, gloves, and an extra face mask. I can't tell you how many times I've been in the car with my dad and we're driving, and we get to our destination and either he doesn't have his mask or I don't have my mask, and one of us has to stay in the car. It's really annoying. And secondly, if you have these supplies, you can know in confidence if you ever go anywhere and, per se, let's say you were just going to visit immediate family, and your spouse or your mom or somebody says, oh, can you pick this up for me from the store? You'll always be ready to have that mask and go inside and follow the social distancing guidelines that are in place in today's day and age in 2020, which I hope that this isn't the case forever. Plastic bags and store bags. Just in case, like I said, you have to run into a store, you have all these things ready to go just in case. Perhaps if you get your shoes dirty or you wet your clothes, you'll always have a plastic bag in the car just in case you need it. Next on the list, guys, we're going to be talking about a flashlight. And I can't tell you how many times a flashlight has come in handy for me in my various travels and projects and things. It's always nice to know that you have some extra light should you need it. Next on the list, we're going to be talking about emergency cash, cold hard cash, as well as emergency quarters and change. You might need change if you have to park in a metered parking lot. Nobody really wants to run around and have that stress of, okay, it's going to take me, all of 10 minutes to get some change and I could get a ticket. You just want to avoid that and carry some change with you at all times. And having cash cash is king pretty much still. I know a lot of people, and I'm guilty of this too, sometimes I just take my cards with me, but it's always nice to have some cash on you. You know, nothing excessive, maybe, you know, $5-10 you could get, you know, a couple gallons of gas to get yourself home, but having cash is definitely something that you should always have on tap. Now we're going to kind of get into some more nitty-gritty things, more emergency type things and tools to carry with you. So the next thing I want to talk about is anything that is high visibility. I have a particular windbreaker that I like to carry with me should I have to change a flat. The next thing I want to talk about is a tire pressure gauge. Now this is something that you must have with you, especially if you're traveling long distances, if you're going on a road trip. I honestly think if your tires are low and you didn't check them, that's gross negligence on your part. And I wouldn't want to be the guy that, you know, if I was carrying my spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, if I got a flat and I, you know, never checked the tires and they ask, you know, what was your PSI at? And you're just kind of scratching your head. I would never want to be put in that position. I always check my tires. It's just due diligence, and you must own a tire pressure gauge if you own a car, in my opinion. Next items on the list are some basic tools. I have a screwdriver that has the 2 heads on it, Phillips and flat head. It's pretty big, so I can torque some things down if needed. Also, I have an emergency 3/8 socket set that has, you know, standard and metric, I guess you could say, sockets, and that has come in handy. Pretty much if you have that, you can fix pretty much any little thing that might get loose, you know, a battery terminal, fender flares, you know, anything like that you can fix. It also helps to know, you know, where your jack is, how inflated your spare tire is, because you never want to get caught in a situation where you're completely helpless and stranded. That's a recipe for disaster. And I always carry in a plastic bag that high-vis jacket that I was telling you guys about, but I also carry an extra shirt or two and an extra underwear and my lotion, because with that recipe, if I ever go anywhere, I know that I can take a shower and, you know, put my lotion on and change my shirt, and I'll feel fresh for the rest of the day. I hate that feeling of wanting to take a shower and, you know, you don't have that extra clothes, and that feeling of helplessness, I don't like it. Another simple thing on the list would be some headphones. You never know where you're going to be if you have to make an important phone call. Obviously, you know, most decks have hands-free. You can talk through the car, but you might be in a situation where that's not really working. So if you have a pair of wired earphones with a microphone, you can know in confidence that you'll never get pulled over for a hands-free ticket, because that is hands-free talking. So that's very important to have as well. And rounding out the list is a set of bulbs and fuses. Now, if you're not very mechanically inclined, I would say just omit this from the list, but if you are, you know the importance of carrying bulbs for your headlights and your taillights, just because you never want to be caught having those out. And if you ever get pulled over by an officer and they said, you know, did you know that this was out? You can always say, oh no officer, thanks for letting me know, I have some bulbs in the back, I'm going to take care of that. And you might get yourself out of a fix-it ticket just having those pieces in the car. But it's very good to have, especially if you're traveling long distances. Anyway guys, that was my brief list of some really simple and very specific items that I think everybody should carry with them in their car. Let me know if I missed anything down below and what you think of my list. Blazing Tech, and we'll catch you on the next one.